Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to cover natural weed and pest control, every trick that I know. But first, let's take a look at Matt's garden.
You're fine. All right, so let's see the seedlings coming up.
And so were these radishes? Is this a radish? Did we put radishes over here?
I think, no, that's
Is that
another
a squash there
I
too?
don't know where we put the radishes.
I thought they were somewhere in this area.
I can't remember
Maybe
what we did.
they're-
See, that's why we needed your map. I have your map. I took a picture of it.
I did, yeah.
Kind of remembered. But
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff growing.
lots of little
Up.
seedlings coming up, and we'll have to thin those, but that's fine. That's perfect. Good.
So Matt's garden looks great, and today we're going to start with weed control. The thing that I remember always, and I don't know where I learned it, is that Mother Earth hates to be naked. And if you don't cover the soil with something, weeds will cover it for you. Mulch is the key to weed control. 3 to 6 inches of hay, straw, leaves, or grass clippings spread out between your plants will do a lot to deter weed growth. The only thing that you need to know about those is to make a little space around your plants so that the leaves or the grass clippings or the hay isn't touching the stems to prevent some foliage disease. Living mulch is another option. That's where you plant something in between your plants. White clover is my favorite. It only grows 6 inches high. And while white clover is there, the weeds can't get there. We also use buckwheat a lot in our garden. Anytime we have a bed that's free, we plant buckwheat. It comes up in 30 days. And then we cut it and let it just lie exactly where it is. And we scoop little holes where we want to put a new plant or a new start or a new seed. And we plant right into it. It makes the plants dry out less quickly. And it also protects from weeds around those plants. So buckwheat is the one that we use a lot. And white clover. There are others, but that's a good start. Walkways, if you have more than one bed or if you have a series of beds like we do in our garden, we cover those with 20-year landscape paper, and then we put down pine straw. Pine straw is acidic and grass doesn't like it. It won't grow. But the barrier paper helps keep the grass from growing up in the cracks. We used to use hardwood mulch in our pathways, but it decomposed into a perfectly beautiful soil that made a great place for the weeds to grow. Mike and I have tried about every kind of fencing there is, from the most expensive to what we rely on now. We've used electric fencing, fencing that we made by hand that looked beautiful with wood across the top. And now what we generally use is bird netting. It's very inexpensive, it's easily movable, and it keeps out deer and chickens is what we generally want to keep out in our yard. I like it because you can't see it from a distance. And the only problem that we've had with it is that it tends to tangle up snakes. And those are some of my least favorite things to find in my garden. You're going to see Matt and I build his now. Matt and I are using some little posts that you can get at the co-op. They're easy because you can wrap the bird netting right around them. Just to make sure that they stay in place, we're using those plastic zip ties. Again, I like this. It's not easily visible from a distance, except for the posts, and it is easily taken apart and moved if you decide you want to do that.
There we go. So you can just unhook this thing right here.
We're going to talk about preventative pest control. Strong soil is the key to growing naturally. If you've used all the amendments that we talked about, your plants are going to be strong and able to ward off pests. But we also use things like crop rotation, and in your handout you have a link to the crop rotation that I use. It's a 4-part crop rotation. It means you don't put things in the same place season after season, which confuses bugs. I group mine into fruits, legumes, leaves, and leaf plants and roots. We also use things like row covers in our garden for really tough things to grow like zucchini and squash, which get hit hard here. There's also something called plastic mulching that we don't use, but we have a lot of friends that do. In this next little clip, I'm going to go over with Matt the preventative pest controls that we use. Diatomaceous earth and beer traps for slugs are not in the video. I've included those in your packet. Important thing about spraying is you water the roots first. Make sure you've watered thoroughly first the roots. You don't really want to water your leaves anyway because the sun can scorch them and it gives them more diseases. But once you water and you're thoroughly watered, then you come back and you spray the leaves. And it's the leaves you want to hit. And it's the underside, the overside, the whole thing. The most important thing about spraying is you water the roots first. Make sure you've watered thoroughly first the roots. You don't really want to water your leaves anyway because the sun can scorch them and it gives them more diseases. But once you water and you're thoroughly watered, then you come back and you spray the leaves. And it's the leaves you want to hit. And it's the underside, the overside, the whole thing. All right. This is a germander. It's an herb, and it attracts pollinators. It attracts bees and butterflies and things like that you want in your garden. And the more good and beneficial bugs you have in your garden, the less bad ones you have. So I'm going to replace what you said your dead pepper was. And again, we just spread them out and put these in. You've heard, I'm sure, of planting marigolds in gardens, and
yep.
so usually in the spring I plant those, and they usually do really well and flower all throughout the summer. Bugs don't like the smell of them. But all your different herbs that you have in the garden, anything that's smelly uses bugs, and that's good. So you really want diversity. You don't want, like in old traditional gardens, you would have a whole row of beans or a whole row of something. If a bug gets a hold of that, they're going to move right down your row. So you kind of like to mix things up, and that's why we planted the things
kind of scatter around,
square foot.
Yeah.
We didn't put too many in a row.
Right.
It's not going to be perfect, but it helps.
Right.
Also, moving things. So like you planted squash on this end this year. Next year you might want to put squash on this end.
Okay.
These are my go-tos. Neem oil is the #1 natural pest control. And I got you the spray one. It's more expensive this way.
Yeah.
Since yours is small, you're going to use it constantly. This is the easiest thing to put on a garden.
Okay.
It's just an oil from a plant in India.
Okay.
And it smells strong. It doesn't smell bad. I kind of like the smell of it, but it smells strong enough to that deters bugs.
Right.
And the other thing it does is it prevents some of the kinds of foliage diseases.
Okay.
Funguses and foliage diseases. So this is totally harmless. It doesn't hurt a thing. It doesn't hurt bees. It doesn't hurt anybody. And so just to coat your plants in it, it's my go-to favorite thing. Herbs really don't need to be sprayed. They're so tough.
Right.
Never eat them because they don't like the smell of them.
Right.
But everything else, I'd say once or twice a week, you could put neem oil out.
Okay.
I pick a day, like Monday is my day, but I spray everything.
Oh, okay.
And I just go through now I have my backpack thing, and I just
Oh,
spray
yeah.
it all
I
in
saw
there.
that. Yeah.
And neem is always on there. Now, if I start to get a pest problem, I'll add some other things, but this is the one that's always on there.
Okay.
And you know, right when you plant things, when things are first coming up,
Right.
bugs find them.
Right.
This is probably all you need.
Okay.
Then you'll see. It's not going to take them long to tell their friends.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Something new is in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's when you may have to step up with them.
Yeah.
You had mentioned slugs.
Slugs. Yeah. I have a lot of
The
slugs.
best deterrent I know for that is a little container, a little plastic container, put into the surface, like an my kid's applesauce container. Is what I
Okay.
usually use. And I put it flush with the surface, and I fill it with cheap beer.
Okay.
And they drown.
They just swim in and
They
drown.
love beer, and they will drown.
Okay.
The problem is if they're not in your bed yet. First defense that we use is BT. It is a biological agent. If you start to see some pest problems, this is my second one that I go to, and it's really it's good for worms, caterpillars, and it's a biological agent that somehow if they eat it, it tears up their stomach, and there they go.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt you if you ingest it.
No.
And so part of the reason you grow your own food is because you don't want the stuff that's on the ground.
BT, there is some evidence that it hurts bees.
Mm.
So I'm real careful about when I spray it and how much of it I spray. This thing will last you a year, 2 years, this
Okay.
big. That's my second go-to. And then the best one that I really like, that if you're just having some serious trouble, is spinosad. And it's another biological agent. And, you know, worms, caterpillars, thrips, it does a little bit more variety than just the BT. The things that usually get greens are pretty easily killed with BT. And so I just spray it right on the plant once a week. And like I said, during heavy pest time, you know, June, July, August, I spray it once a week.
Right.
Other than that, I really don't need it. I might need it as, you know, once in a while.
Right.
But so in my mind, I'm mitigating a successful garden with spraying for 3 months out of a year.
Right.
And it's not the worst thing in the world. You know, there are far worse things.
Yeah.
But it is something you have to keep in mind that if you're concerned about it, it's not going to hurt you, but it
Right.
does have other
Right. For the,
repercussions.
yeah.
So, all right, that's